Utah Utes versus BYU Cougars. A fierce in-state rivalry renews in Provo as the number 1. 23 Utah Utes, 5-1, 2-1 Big, 12, travel south to face the number 15 BYU Cougars, 6-0, 3-0 Big, 12 in a top 25 Big 12 showdown. The Cougars are unbeaten and tied atop the conference standings, while Utah looks to continue its surge after rebounding from an early season stumble. With just a fraction separating the teams in predictive models, Utah at 49.4% and BYU at 50.6%. This matchup shapes up as one of the most evenly balanced and emotionally charged games of the season. Beyond the rivalry stakes, it carries major conference implications. A BYU win would cement its place among playoff contenders, while Utah could vault into the Big 12's upper tier with a road statement victory. Quarterback play headlines this battle. Utah's dual-threat leader Damon Dampier has thrown for 1,131 yards and 13 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions, while adding 378 rushing yards and 5 scores on the ground. His ability to extend plays will test BYU's discipline at the second level. Across the field, Brett Bachmeier has been the model of balance for the Cougars, tallying 1,220 passing yards and 8 touchdowns, also keeping turnovers in check with just 3 picks. While Dampier thrives on improvisation, Bachmeier's precision and timing in BYU's spread offense make this a compelling clash of styles: agility versus efficiency. Offensively, Utah's edge lies in versatility. Receiver Rashad Davis leads the Utes with 416 yards and 2 touchdowns, thriving on intermediate routes that allow Dampier to attack zone defenses. BYU counters with Caleb Roberts, who's emerged as Bachmeier's top target with 420 yards and 3 touchdowns, including several momentum-shifting catches in close games. On the ground, BYU's Landon Martin has powered the offense with 652 yards and 4 scores on 101 carries, his north-south running style complementing Bachmeier's play-action precision. Utah's backfield by committee has been less explosive, but remains efficient in sustaining drives and controlling tempo. Both defenses have shown flashes of dominance. Utah's pass rush is spearheaded by defensive end Jax Daly, who leads the team with 8 sacks, anchoring one of the conference's most aggressive fronts. Linebacker Jalen Hall, 30 tackles, provides stability in the middle. BYU, however, leans on balanced pursuit, led by edge rusher Jet Kelly with 4 sacks and linebacker Sione Acera pacing the team with 31 tackles. The Cougars' defense has thrived in clutch moments, holding opponents under 28 points in each of their last 4 games. Momentum clearly favors BYU, winners of all 6 contests, including a dramatic 33-27 overtime victory over Arizona and solid defensive performances against West Virginia and Colorado. Utah, meanwhile, rides a 3-game winning streak highlighted by dominant outings versus Arizona State and West Virginia, outscoring opponents 134-44 in that span. The Utes' lone setback came in a narrow shootout loss to Texas Tech, a reminder that turnovers and red zone efficiency will be decisive factors here. In the Big 12 race, BYU leads at 3-0 with Texas Tech and Cincinnati, while Utah's 2-1 record keeps it close. A Utah win would shake up the top tier. A BYU win strengthens playoff hopes. Both teams are healthy, though BYU's defense faces a stamina test against Utah's tempo, while Utah's secondary remains vulnerable to deep passes from Roberts and Bachmeier. The X factors revolve around discipline and quarterback mobility. If Dampier can escape pressure and generate chunk plays on the ground, Utah's offense may wear down the Cougars. But if Bachmeier maintains his rhythm and Martin controls the clock, BYU's home crowd and balance could prove decisive. Expect a classic rivalry duel with postseason overtones. Both defenses will deliver key stops, but BYU's efficiency and composure in late-game drives give it a narrow edge. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is BYU Cougars winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Cincinnati Bearcats versus Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Big 12 landscape takes an intriguing turn as the number 1. 24 Cincinnati Bearcats, 5-1, 3-0 Big 12, head to Stillwater to face the struggling Oklahoma State Cowboys, 1-5, 0-3, Big 12, at Boone Pickens Stadium. Cincinnati, sitting near the top of the conference standings alongside BYU and Texas Tech, aims to continue its surge toward contention. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State finds itself in the midst of a rebuilding season, fighting to salvage pride and momentum after a string of disappointing results. The Bearcats are favored heavily, holding a commanding 91.2% win probability, yet Big 12 matchups often prove that nothing is guaranteed in hostile territory. At quarterback, Cincinnati's Brady Sorsby has emerged as a steady leader, throwing for 1,448 yards with 14 touchdowns and just 1 interception, an impressive efficiency that has defined the Bearcats' offensive identity. His poise in the pocket and ability to extend plays have been critical in their 5-game win streak. Across the field, Oklahoma State's Zane Flores has struggled through growing pains, compiling 696 passing yards and 3 interceptions on 77 completions. His flashes of arm strength are evident, but inconsistency and protection breakdowns have stalled the Cowboys' offense. The quarterback duel offers a clear contrast between Cincinnati's polished execution and Oklahoma State's developmental growing pains. On the ground, Cincinnati relies on running back Ethan Pryor, who has tallied 349 yards and 2 touchdowns on 84 carries. His ability to grind out tough yardage between the tackles complements Sorsby's passing attack. Oklahoma State counters with R. Fields Jr., who has 257 rushing yards but has been limited by game flow as the Cowboys have often trailed early. In the receiving corps, Bearcats wideout C. Goody headlines with 354 yards and 2 touchdowns on 17 receptions, serving as Sorsby's go-to option for explosive plays. The Cowboys' G. Freeman has hauled in 19 receptions for 203 yards, showing reliability in short yardage situations, but lacking the big play element needed to stretch defenses. Defensively, Cincinnati's linebacker Jay Golday anchors a unit that has been among the Big 12's stingiest, recording 55 tackles and 3 sacks. His instincts and tackling range have fueled a defense allowing minimal second-half scoring. For Oklahoma State, B. McCoy Jr. and W. Gregory lead a defense that has struggled to contain high-tempo opponents, each posting 40-plus tackles, but often being forced into extended drives due to offensive inefficiency. The Cowboys' defense has given up over 35 points in 4 of 6 games, a glaring weakness Cincinnati's balanced attack will likely exploit. Recent trends favor Cincinnati heavily. The Bearcats are riding a 5-game win streak with victories over UCF, 20-11, Iowa State, 38-30, and Kansas, 37-34, showcasing resilience in close contests. Their only loss came early in the season, and since then, they've displayed playoff-caliber composure. Oklahoma State, by contrast, has dropped 5 straight, including lopsided losses to Oregon, 69-3, and Baylor, 45-27. Their defense has been porous, and offensive turnovers have come at inopportune times. Cincinnati trails only BYU and Texas Tech in the Big 12, staying in title contention, while winless Oklahoma State seeks redemption. Key factors are Cincinnati's defensive consistency and Oklahoma State's turnover creation. If Flores avoids errors, the Cowboys could compete, but Cincinnati's balanced, efficient attack gives them the edge. Expect the Bearcats to assert control early, sustain drives through Pryor's rushing, and maintain their push toward the Big 12's upper echelon while Oklahoma State continues its rebuilding journey. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Cincinnati Bearcats winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Nevada Wolfpack versus New Mexico Lobos. Nevada and New Mexico are set to meet in a Mountain West clash that highlights two programs on vastly different trajectories. The Wolfpack enter the matchup at 1-5 overall and 0-2 in conference play, desperate to stop a four-game losing skid. Meanwhile, the Lobos stand at 3-3 overall, also 0-2 in the Mountain West, but have shown signs of life under a balanced offense and a defense that's flashed improvement despite tough competition. For Nevada, it's about survival and progress in a rebuilding year. For New Mexico, it's about proving they can stay competitive in a conference that's been dominated by the likes of UNLV and Boise State. Quarterback play will be pivotal. Nevada's C. Purdy has 494 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions through 6 games, showing inconsistency but big play upside. His dual threat skills stand out, leading the team with 292 rushing yards and 2 scores. New Mexico quarterback Jay Lane has been steadier, throwing for 1,277 yards and 8 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. His mix of deep throws and short timing routes has sustained the Lobos' offensive rhythm, particularly at home. New Mexico leads the ground game behind D. Bankston's 307 yards and 3 touchdowns on 52 carries, providing steady production. Nevada relies on Purdy's mobility for short gains, underscoring its lack of a true feature back. New Mexico's Kay Johnson has been a standout with 31 catches for 364 yards, posing major matchup problems. Nevada's M. Bellin, with 15 receptions for 193 yards and a touchdown, remains their top deep threat in an inconsistent offense. Both defenses feature strengths and flaws. Nevada's D. La Barbera anchors the front 7 with 51 tackles and 5.5 sacks, key to limiting Lane's mobility. Still, the Wolfpack has struggled against the run, surrendering 40-plus points in 3 of their last 4 games. For New Mexico, defensive lineman K. James Newby has delivered 4.5 sacks and strong interior disruption, while linebacker Jay Eck leads the Lobos with 64 tackles, forming the core of a group that's kept them competitive even in losses to Boise State and San Jose State. Momentum heavily favors New Mexico. The Lobos have been in nearly every game this season, beating Idaho State and New Mexico State, while falling narrowly to stronger conference foes. Nevada, on the other hand, has suffered lopsided defeats to San Diego State and Fresno State, and hasn't found offensive rhythm since a mid-September win over Middle Tennessee. The Wolfpack's defense has allowed over 35 points per contest, a troubling sign against a New Mexico offense that's averaging close to 28 points at home. In the standings, both programs sit at the bottom of the Mountain West, but for New Mexico, this game presents a chance to return to .500 in conference play and stay within striking distance of the middle tier. Nevada, meanwhile, is simply searching for identity and incremental progress under new leadership, as their postseason hopes are already faint. The X factors will revolve around turnovers, quarterback decision-making, and red zone efficiency. If Purdy can avoid interceptions and sustain drives with his legs, Nevada could keep it close. For New Mexico, establishing Bankston early and letting Lane manage the game with balance could lead to a comfortable victory. Defensive pressure from James Newby may also play a pivotal role in forcing Nevada into hurried throws and mistakes. Ultimately, New Mexico's balance, home field edge, and defensive stability make them the clear favorite. Expect the Lobos to control time of possession, win the line of scrimmage, and capitalize on Nevada's offensive struggles. New Mexico 34, Nevada 17, as the Lobos pull back to a winning record, and the Wolfpack's rebuilding season continues with growing pains. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is New Mexico Lobos winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Lafayette Leopards versus Oregon State Beavers. When the Lafayette Leopards travel to Corvallis to take on the Oregon State Beavers, it will be a battle between two programs trending in opposite directions. Lafayette, Sitting at 5-2 and atop the Patriot League standings with a 3-0 conference record, enters this matchup riding high and chasing an FCS playoff berth. Oregon State, on the other hand, is searching desperately for answers after an 0-7 start that has left the Beavers winless and reeling in the Pac-12 basement. Despite the contrasting records, Oregon State still holds a 91.4% win probability, largely due to the FBS-FCS talent gap and home field advantage at Reser Stadium. The narrative is clear. Can Lafayette's disciplined execution and efficient offense pull off a massive upset? Or will Oregon State finally find its footing and end a brutal losing streak? Under center, Lafayette's junior quarterback Dee DeNobile has been the model of consistency, throwing for 1,587 yards on 134 completions with 11 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. His efficient play has fueled a Leopards offense averaging over 30 points per game. Oregon State counters with M. Murphy, whose 1,653 passing yards and 9 touchdowns show flashes of big play ability, though his 8 interceptions have often halted drives. Murphy's arm strength gives the Beavers vertical potential, but turnover management remains his biggest challenge. In the ground game, Lafayette's K. Edwards has been a revelation, rushing for 585 yards and 10 touchdowns on just 71 carries, averaging more than 8 yards per attempt. His explosive style and red zone effectiveness make him Lafayette's offensive centerpiece. Oregon State's A. Hankerson, meanwhile, has tallied 467 yards on 129 carries with 2 scores. But the Beavers' inconsistent offensive line play has limited his production. If Oregon State can establish Hankerson early, it may relieve pressure on Murphy and open up the passing lanes for their top receiver, T. Walker, who leads the team with 598 receiving yards on 45 catches. Lafayette's reliable target, C. Persing, has been a steady possession threat, pulling in 34 receptions for 447 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lafayette's defense, led by J. Joseph's 5.5 sacks and B.D.'s 42 tackles, thrives on pressure and discipline. Oregon State's D has struggled, though D. Foster's 52 tackles and J. Schuster's interior play offer hope. The Beavers have allowed 35-plus points in 5 straight games. Lafayette enters on a 5-game win streak with victories over Bucknell, 62-24, Fordham, 24-10, and Princeton, 38-28, showing both offensive firepower and late-game poise. Oregon State, conversely, has dropped all of its last 5 contests, including an overtime heartbreaker against Houston, 27-24, underscoring how close, yet far, this team remains from turning the corner. In the broader standings picture, Lafayette looks poised for a Patriot League title run, with Lehigh, 7-0, their only serious challenger. Oregon State's season, however, has shifted from postseason aspirations to rebuilding mode, as they sit tied for last in the Pac-12, with Washington State at 0-3. The key X factors will be Lafayette's turnover margin and third down efficiency. If DeNobile continues his mistake-free play and Edwards can control the clock, the Leopards can keep Oregon State's superior athletes off the field. For the Beavers, it's about limiting errors and finally stringing together a complete 4 quarters. The Beavers' size, depth, and home field edge should carry them to their first win of the season, but Lafayette's precision and confidence could make this one far closer than expected. A test of heart for both programs on a crisp October night in Corvallis. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Oregon State Beavers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Florida State Seminoles versus Stanford Cardinal. A crucial interconference showdown looms in Palo Alto as the Florida State Seminoles, 3-3, 0-3 ACC, travel west to face the Stanford Cardinal, 2-4, 1-2 ACC. Both programs enter this matchup seeking redemption in a season that has tested depth, discipline, and resilience. For Florida State, a team once expected to compete for the ACC crown, an 0-3 start in conference play has them desperate to right the ship. Stanford, meanwhile, is fighting to stay relevant in the ACC after a rocky start, looking to build off flashes of competitiveness against strong opponents. This contest, pitting two struggling programs with contrasting identities, Florida State's athleticism and tempo versus Stanford's methodical power game, promises to test which side can impose its style under the California lights. The quarterback duel could define the night. Florida State's Tate Roadmaker successor, Tate Castellanos, has shown flashes of efficiency, throwing for 1,365 yards with 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions on 86 of 138 passing. His ability to extend plays and utilize intermediate routes has kept the Seminoles' offense alive despite inconsistency in the red zone. Across the field, Stanford's Ben Gulbranson has been slightly more productive statistically, logging 1,445 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4 picks while completing 59% of his throws, 116 of 196. Gulbranson, a rhythm passer, thrives when given time but has struggled under pressure, taking sacks in key moments against top defenses. The quarterback who better manages turnovers and dictates tempo could be the difference between a statement win and another frustrating loss. On the ground, the Seminoles lean on Gavin Sawchuk, who has churned out 352 yards and 6 touchdowns on 67 carries, averaging over 5 yards per touch. Sawchuk's burst outside the tackles will test Stanford's front seven, particularly linebacker M. Rose, who leads the Cardinal with 47 tackles. Stanford's run game features Mitch Ford, a workhorse back who has compiled 400 rushing yards and 3 scores on 91 carries. Ford's between-the-tackles power running could challenge Florida State's interior defenders, but his ability to break big plays has been limited this season. Florida State's D. Robinson leads with 443 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Stanford's C. Williams has 404 yards and a touchdown, excelling on third downs. Defensively, A. Barker, 2.5 sacks, and C. Patterson, 3 sacks, anchor the trenches, a matchup that could dictate game flow. Recent form shows inconsistency for both teams. Florida State has thrilling but narrow losses, with strong offense undone by late defensive lapses. Stanford alternates between resilience and struggles, splitting close wins over San Jose State and Boston College, with heavy losses to SMU and Virginia. Home field advantage at Stanford Stadium could offer a stabilizing factor, though the Cardinals' defense remains vulnerable to explosive plays. In the ACC, Georgia Tech and Virginia lead at 3-0, while Florida State and Stanford sit near the bottom. With postseason hopes dimming, this game serves as a reset. A Seminoles win secures their first conference victory. Stanford eyes .500 and bowl relevance. The X factors are Florida State's turnover margin and explosiveness against Stanford's ball control and tackling. If Castellanos protects the ball and Sawchuk excels in the red zone, FSU should prevail. But if Gulbranson finds rhythm and Ford controls tempo, Stanford could pull an upset. Analytics lean heavily toward the Seminoles with an 82.9% win probability, and their balanced offensive attack appears poised to finally translate into a conference win. Still, expect a competitive battle defined by momentum swings and defensive grit before Florida State ultimately pulls away late. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Florida State Seminoles winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.